Welcome to the Create with Katrina Julia show by Fit Life Creation, where we talk all the things on wellness, faith, marketing, business, and travel to create a life and business you love. I've been there, friend. I've walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and bondage to freedom, along with transformation in every area of my life. I'm right here with you, walking along on my own path to creating. So tune in so that you learn how to create a life and business you love, hands-on. Let's create it. Creator Confessions, getting a little more personal with Fall into Flow and a recap of October with my created creations. From faith to wellness to wealth to marketing to business to travel to community, I share real talk and hashtag behind the scenes of a creator and CEO. So how did you and or do you feel about October in 2023 so far? Do you feel like several of the, whether it was intentions, whether it was vision, whether it was goals, or all of the above that you set the beginning of the year are falling into flow? So for me, I will dive into some of that at the end of the episode. So stay tuned, and that will be a special bonus on this episode because initially I was going to cover solely the recap on the newsletter, but I just literally felt a prompt in my spirit and soul to share that. So the shifts in October led to openness, and surrender showed up both spiritually and practically. And if you didn't, or if you haven't listened to this series in the past, I definitely recommend you go back because I share very authentically, openly, transparently on different struggles. And it also helps me and growth. And it also helps me see the progress, which really helps me, helps you, helps all of us build what I call not just the confidence, but the Godfidence. And I started my month in October in Merida, Mexico. I learned about real estate in Mexico and attended a 2-hour workshop with Neil that was amazing. And that's on the blog and on the show that you can also listen in on. And I'm diving into more with that pretty soon. I swam in the best cenotes, aka sinkholes. That's also on the blog and on the show. And celebrated my birthday with Healthy Active Community with Herbalife in Canada, which was such a blessing. I met so many incredible people and learned from Amber and Sam and hung out with Rebecca and dancing on my birthday. It was just I'm so grateful for it and so glad that I made that intentional decision and that aligned so amazingly in Canada. I traveled to Nice, France for 2 days on my way to visit my mom and my dad in Bulgaria. I felt more shifts internally and externally than I may count. I increased time in outdoor workouts, walking and biking, and reached 20,000 minutes on Peloton workout app. So if you didn't know, Peloton doesn't just have the treadmill, the bike, and or the row machine. It also has an app, which you can find in my 75 plus tools in the link in the show notes. I experienced turbulence with surrender and sickness a week in Bulgaria. So thankfully, it was a completely different because I felt like when I got ill in September, it was almost like a release or a detox after the Temazcal. Versus this time, I feel like I, taking 100% responsibility, allowed my immune system to be depleted and did not stay in tune with vitamin C and just alignment. And when I came to Varna after traveling from Mexico to Canada, to Nice, to Sofia, and then to Varna, I ended up catching something in Sofia. and was not as diligent as I usually am, and especially as I was when I was traveling 2020 through 2022 full time. Ended up being sick for a week when I first got to Varna. I stayed in 4 places this month. So last month I stayed in 1. This one I started off in Merida. I stayed in a beautiful colonial home that you can see in my top 10 things to do on the blog in Merida. I then stayed in an Airbnb in Canada during the Herbalife event. That was super cute. And then a beautiful Airbnb with a breathtaking pool and an incredible host in Nice, France. Um, that was just amazing in every way. I shared a lot under on my Instagram and via my niece highlight, and tagged the owners as well. And I'll also have a 1-day guide coming up in Nice before the year is up along the French Riviera. So stay tuned. I traveled, as I shared, to Herbalife's Leadership Development Weekend for my birthday weekend. And you guys, this was my first event back live since pre-pandemic, because I left Atlanta at the end of 2020, and all the events I attended were virtual. I almost went to Extravaganza earlier this year, but completely taking ownership. I did not fully plan or thought other things would be in alignment easier, and did not get my ticket and travel arrangements back in February. So for several reasons, it ended up not aligning for me timing wise, and also leaving wise Atlanta, and different things that were going on. And not making excuses, simply sharing the circumstances that I allowed and things that happened, and not fighting through it, which I almost did. But then, in a sense, to use a card term, I folded, so to speak. So I didn't fight through it. I just almost like my soul felt so depleted, and I knew going to the event was going to be amazing. But it was just one of those times where sometimes you just feel like there's so many things, whether it's true or not true, or whether it's simply a feeling or emotion, are like on top of you. And then you feel like everything is a fight, and then you, so to speak, surrender in that moment. So right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what it ended up being. So this was my first live event, and I'm so grateful that it ended up aligning, and how I reignited my faith, my focus, and my vision, and aligned and co-created and manifested to have this incredible event for my birthday weekend, and in Canada, on my way to Europe, to Nice, and then to Bulgaria. And just, again, just reminded of several things intentionally, and just the alignment of one of my core values is community. And even more this year, I felt how important it is to be surrounded with high vibes, with, people that are aligned on the same, not the same exactly, but ultimately, aligned on mission, on vision, on purpose, on passion, on people and profits, on self development and personal development, self awareness. It just creates a whole different spirit in the room, and just the kindness and the honor and the respect and the value, and just reignited my spirit and soul in so many ways. So living wise, I'm using Airbnbs, partnering with real estate, later Hello Landing in the USA. Right now, I am staying in a mini little casita with my parents at Varna, Bulgaria, on the lake, right near the Black Sea in Varna, Bulgaria, and for several reasons. One of my intentions is community and family, like I shared, and I had not seen my parents since last year, that we ended up connecting in Portugal. And you can definitely find that top 10 things to do on the blog and show. And then when we came back to Varna for Easter, and I saw my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, and my nephew. And then I ended up going through Turkey on my way back to the US. And my parents ended up going with me to Istanbul, which was super cool. And so I hadn't seen them since then, and they had talked about possibly coming to the US and then to Mexico. But then when it became clear that was not happening, and just several things from that aspect, as well as finances and focus and easing pressure, aligning to flow, and decreasing expenses while intensifying focus on creating wealth, I really felt like that surrender come up in September, which I talked more about that in that episode. And I've definitely felt a release of that pressure, so to speak, and focusing more on flow and, recognizing sometimes that we get to shift when things aren't shifting and asking, what is this teaching me? Where else can I surrender? Where else can I align? My divine discipline, which is my phrase for this year, and I'll talk about that in a bit with the 2023 vision, ended up staying stable and intensifying, even with me being sick for a week. And then I stayed consistent in waking up between 5 to 7 a.m., even with the time change. Because if you didn't know, or not time change, but different time zones. For example, right now, as I'm recording this, it's 11:20 a.m. in Bulgaria. However, in East Coast time right now, it is time. Let's see. It is right now what? EST now. No, that's wrong. It's 4:14 a.m., I believe. 5:21 a.m. It's 5:21 a.m. right now, East Coast. It's 4:21 a.m. Central. So technically, if you look at it on the East Coast time zone, I'm always awake now by like midnight. So I find that really, really interesting. And I feel like I am co creating 2 days in one now because I'm actually awake for the morning here and already creating. And I've been up since about 6:30 a.m. on this time zone, which was roughly 10 p.m. East Coast. And then now it's 5:20 a.m. East Coast, and I've already been in flow for hours upon hours, and then I'll still be up, this evening. So it's super interesting. And I'm focusing on, so in October, I focused on the CMO and management and content done for you on the business to business side. I increased a lot in learning things about UGC and user generated content with brands, ex creators. So shout out to that community. I continued business to business proposals and opportunities in October in the pipeline of about 5.4 million, and that's proposals from the month of October solely. At the same time, let me interject and say that one, I've lost quote unquote millions in proposals this year, and I keep realigning, identifying if I'm speaking to the right decision makers that I'm finding on LinkedIn and or IO tools, which you can get even more insight on that both in my Black Friday Ultimate Toolkit for free in the link in the show notes, and my upcoming live masterclass. And two, my conversion, which is also what I'm focusing on, has been really, really low. So led me to look at, everything from the pitches from the opportunities to the brands, to the pitches, to the decision makers, and keep staying humble. And on the community side, I created a 90 days to 2024 on Instagram and have been repurposing it. So it's super short videos. I started doing face-to-face videos with a thought, a tip, and a tool while I was in Merida. But then as I left Nice to Canada and then here and got sick, I did film some in Sofia, Bulgaria, but then I got sick. So instead of quitting, I reinvented or shifted or pivoted the 90 days to 2024 to still share on Instagram as I've been sharing and still share a thought, a tip, and a tool at least, but to use whatever content I have and not necessarily put the pressure or on myself that it has to be perfect or it has to be exactly the same with a thought, a tip, and a tool. And then it's more important for me to stay consistent and aligned and disciplined and still share and still hold the integrity with myself versus saying, oh, it has to be only this way. Speaking of, I launched a free Black Friday Ultimate Toolkit, which will help you, as creators to CEOs create it with insight into the project management that I use, into the business to business tools that I use, into the digital marketing, into ClickUp, social curators, and much more. And it gives you a preview into what it's like to work with me as a CMO and or in my Create It Monthly and or a preview into the masterclass and or retreats, of course. Speaking of, updated both online events and created and expanded them on Eventbrite for November and December, and got clear on 2024 increasingly, and for retreats in 2023 to 2024, and stayed consistent in online communities across email and social media and much more. And so, my divine discipline, my phrase for 2023, is definitely seeking openness and being open in October. Anyone else? So, uh, let me, before I dive into my 7 steps to success across spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, relational, playful, and financial, let me take a dive deep into, at a glance, a comparison of 2023 vision a year ahead, what I wrote in January 3rd of 2023, and what's been happening in comparison to the desire and the intention and what I set walking into the year. And then, of course, you can dive deeper into this on the blog and on the show, because I walk you through a 2-part framework with multiple steps. At And I want to celebrate what's been aligned and reached, but also acknowledge what hasn't and hold myself accountable and recognize that there's still 2 months left in the year. And am setting an intention for 2024 to revisit this more regularly, even on a short episode every month, so that it stays even more top of mind. So, number 1 was grow in discipline and finish reading the Bible for the 3rd time. I am over halfway through the Bible right now, and it's still possible that I may finish it in 2023 fully for a 3rd time. So I am going to increase that. I did finish the Jude Bible study. That's already done. I did attend a Lifeway Live event with my friend Silvana. That was done in April. I have almost entirely stopped hitting snooze, and I am up by 7 a.m. no matter the time zone, over 95% of the time. Number 2 was increased self-love. I absolutely increased fasted cardio again, and I've been consistently lifting weights over 5 times a week. My goal for this year was reach 30,000 on Peloton in 2023, and that is still possible. I have, again, 2 months left, and I'm over 20,000 right now. Grow the wellness community 50 to 100%. It has grown online, but I am increasing the intention for it to grow increasingly with paid and or live. One of my things was to participate in a fitness show or a shoot. I did not do that this year yet. I am increasing my workouts and alignment for that to happen in 2024. And part of that was for this year was depending on whether different things with finances and goals that did not get reached yet. So that was one of the reasons why I made the executive decision to shift it. Although I did not complete a dance show or a performance, I did attend a lot more live workout classes, like with Home Depot backyard dancing. I did do a lot more dancing on Instagram, quote unquote, live, not live. And then I also did a lot more dancing with Peloton. So I did increase the activity, and in a sense, did complete a performance to a degree, but not the performance I wanted. Like, I wanted to do the Dance 101 showcase and or Playground LA. And so that is definitely on the horizon for 2024. Community online and live. I absolutely increased live and online over 50%. I streamed a live 30-day challenge on YouTube. I'm now in the process of over 90 days to 2024 on Instagram, and I shared some of those previews on the show. I increased my episodes on the show astronomically. We've already reached close to 30,000 downloads. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I did increase the intention and action around vacations and the retreats. I did join Atlanta Girl Gang and the Buckhead Business Association, and was the VP of marketing for the Buckhead Business Association for the first part of the year. And I did avidly participate in Social Curator and do consistently weekly. Global travels, paid travel, and 2+ retreats. I did not yet host 2+ retreats. So I'm increasing both the intention and aligned action for that ending November and December into 2024, and focusing on Bali and Mexico and other destinations. I had traveled to 12+ countries on here. I traveled to Mexico. I traveled to Canada, I traveled to France, and I traveled to Bulgaria. So 4 countries as of right now. So I am still open to possibilities of more, and there's still a possibility it could reach as high as 12. It may not, but I am open to that. Reach over 35 countries. So I'm still at 36 countries because I haven't yet traveled to new countries that I hadn't traveled to yet. I have my eye on Cyprus and on Malta. So that may happen because there is some easy flights from Varna. Profits, launched 3+ programs, did that, increased income 4x to 10x. So I did reach that goal as of February of this year, but then being fully transparent, honest, then it was almost like I didn't believe I was worthy and backslid in a sense. Um, Backslid or reverted back to the past before that because I was so excited. If those of you that were listening, of achieving that in February of this year, and then seeing, the reverse happen, but then choosing to still stay increasingly in the flow of alignment, worthiness, creating, and discipline no matter what. So there's still time. There's still November. There's still December. I still am, intensifying the intention and the focus and the faith and all of it. Savings of 1 to 3,000. Stay tuned on that. Pay off over 25,000 of debt. Stay tuned on that. Community impact of over 10,000. Absolutely grew online, over 10K across different channels and views and whatnot. I've increased a lot on YouTube, as well as on the email list is now close to 2,000. That's another great metric. Absolutely increased automation and delegation with Chat GPT alone. Increased over, saved over 40 hours weekly, weekly to monthly, and then 25 plus new tasks have decreased in time. And then number 7 was vision, increase viewing of the vision daily, weekly, monthly, and track progress quarterly. I can definitely be and do better around that. Did not view the vision and view this as often as I would have liked. Now, as I look backwards to re-energize and refocus, but I am super proud of myself on how I've realigned, especially at the end of the year, which sometimes at the end of the year it's easy to get discouraged no matter what your focus or your goal is, whether it's mental, spiritual, practical, physical, financial, whatever it is. So I'm here to tell you, don't quit. Like, the year's not over yet, and it's simply a day in the calendar either way. So don't quit. Like, don't let, because it's October, November, December, the year's over, I should throw in the towel, like, discourage you. No, no, no. Let's keep going. Let's keep creating no matter what. So, spiritually, I stayed stable in Bible reading and listening to prayers in my own voice. I did a business fast with Epic Fab Girl, and I'm listening right now to The Secret of the Anointing by Apostle Catherine. And I increased my morning and night routines. Physically, I shared earlier, I reached 20,000 minutes of workouts in October, and I increased workouts by 13, but dropped by 20% with being sick for the week. I did join a gym in Varna, Bulgaria the last few weeks in October and increased radically my workouts with weights, with walking, and then swimming and more when I was in Mexico. Maintain daily aligned action with Herbalife and food. I'm so proud of myself, you guys. The same ways that I've struggled the last several years, saying, believing and knowing and feeling and acting that I'm worthy in calling and in business and in finances. This used to be the case in my food, in my relationships, and different things. And I'm so proud of myself that that's no longer the case. And my mental state is, more and more and more stable. And financially, I increased submission and surrender in October. I increased prayers, EFT. Definitely check out my episodes on emotional freedom technique and EMDR and my blog post. I also started reading about, our subconscious thoughts and our all the thoughts that we think, and both in prayer as well as hypnosis with an intentionally aligned teacher like Marissa Peer, and focus on believing and feeling and acting that I'm worthy no matter what, and embodiment. So I did a challenge this month on Worthy as well with Mel Wells, which I loved. And it's so interesting. So I'm facilitating between my word for 2024. I feel like, God is inviting, allowing, introducing different things because it's between like worthy and surrender. And I think maybe it's a phrase like, I am worthy, I'm worthy of surrender, I'm worthy to surrender, or something, to that effect, because those two words and keep coming up for me for different things. So I did the 5-day challenge this past week with Mel Wells, and so many things came up, so many beautiful things. Then yesterday, I felt drawn to listen to the episode with Jay Shetty and Jada Pinkett Smith. That was beautiful. Oh my God. It was, regardless of what your opinion may be or not be on several things with the Smith family, it was so beautiful. The space held, the articulation, the honor, the grace between the two of them. And I did not know that Jada's book is titled Worthy. So I immediately added it to, I felt like the spirit was leading me to add it to my reading list. So it's on there. And then I had already pre ordered the book Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima and listened to some of her Worthy workshops on the pre launch in October as well. So you can see how it keeps coming up daily, literally. So I increased impact and influence on business to business to consumer proposals, with proposals, investors, launches. I got even clearer on my aligned actions for the rest of the year into next year and the flow, and took way more action. I listed and created online and live events for November and December on platforms, listed my profile on UGC platforms, and scaled speaker, influencer management, and social media outreach 10x on platforms like Kajabi and others. Digital marketing increased, which actually surprised me. I didn't realize I had sent out over 30 emails when I went back to count on Kajabi, and they're still staying at a 30% plus open rate. So thank you, thank you, thank you, because I didn't realize I, was now in that kind of cadence or rhythm. I wrote 3+ blogs with the assistance of AI as well. We reached, as I shared earlier, over 30,000 downloads. So please, please, please leave a review on the show, share on social, tag me, so that more people know about it. And speaking of, recorded over 14 shows, filmed and or recorded over 45 Instagram reels. 45 Instagram reels were actually posted. I have over 90 Instagram reels, you guys, in drafts. I have over close to 200 TikToks in drafts and from repurposed content. Same on LinkedIn and Facebook. Like, the amount of overflow on content that I have now compared to last year just gives me more evidence of overflow and abundance, which I'm loving. Recorded and or posted and or repurposed over 25 YouTube shorts and more. And that's not all, folks, because as you can share, I interweave that, it's all about being a human being, but I love to emphasize that too. So mentally to playfully, I increased feeding my soul with prayer, with journaling, with EFT, with hypnosis, with nature and adventures. I did a really powerful exercise and increased my intention and focus and recognizing where I get to level up around vision, around healing, around release, around clutter. And that includes internal and external clutter in all areas of life, alignment, values, focus, and discipline. I spent time co working at a colonial home in Merida, learning and dancing on my birthday with Herbalife. I hyperlinked a Instagram reel from that. And you can also see that on my Instagram reel feed at Katrina Julia Fit. I went to the beach and or cenotes over 5 times, including sunrise, and went to the French Riviera. I was pinching myself. I was in Nice in France about 2 days and kicking myself like, okay, Katrina, you were in Paris several times. How did you not go to Nice, France? It's amazing, you guys. So beautiful. Completed my top 10 things to do in Merida, and I decided to invest time with my family to heal, cherish, focus, and deepen relationships and shift perspectives, aka just call me Lara Croft, hashtag limitless global girl. I immersed myself in learning with communities including Epic Fab Girl, EFT with Cassandra Bodzak, Reagan Hillier, Marissa Peer, Apostle Catherine, Social Curator, and B School. Some of them I mentioned earlier. And intensified the focus on time tracking to where I have a little notepad now where I typically track my time, my in creating wealth, intention and action, both, and receiving and spending. And I also increased my faith, my focus, and feeling to both open and surrender in October. So if you haven't yet, definitely head on over to the link in the show notes and download my Black Friday Ultimate Toolkit for creators and CEOs to create it for free. And check out my Creators and CEOs Launch Like a Boss live masterclass experience, as well as my Create It Monthly. And definitely check out all my binge-worthy episodes face to face on wellness, marketing, biz, travel, as well as travel behind the scenes, co-working, and a lot more on my YouTube channel. So tag me at Katrina Julia Fit, at Fit Life Creation on all the things so I can shout you out and enter you into a giveaway to Create It Monthly. And as always, friends, remember, create, transform, and inspire because you are born to. Are you ready to take your marketing like a boss with Black Friday and beyond? Keep listening to boost your Black Friday strategy with my fractional CMO and marketing A to Z free quiz. This free quiz will help you identify where you're at with your strategy, your structure, your systems, with your marketing, with Black Friday, with monetizing, and so much more. When you take the free quiz, I and the team will personally reach out to help you create it with resources. Definitely check out my YouTube video and the video in the show notes at Fractional CMO Like a Boss so that you have me personally walking you through the quiz and insights and downloads. And you can get a free call with me if you are serious about having a fractional CMO work with you one-on-one for Black Friday and beyond to really take your business to the next level. So let's create it. All the chats on faith, wellness, money, marketing, business, and travel so you create a life and business you already. Head on over to the blog, the podcast, and the freebies to jumpstart your transformation. If you're ready to dive into the online courses, the live events, or the retreat, and if you want to create with our community on an even deeper level, definitely check out our internships, our influencer collaborations, management, and brand engagement. Let's create it.